Hey, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Amanda, and this is Beyond a Ballot.
powered by DoorDash.
Today's guest has built a career out of reading between the headlines. Lainey Lui, better known as Lainey Gossip, is the founder and editor of LaineyGossip.com and senior correspondent for Etalk. She knows the choreography of fame, when it's messy, when it's masterful, when it's both, and few stories have brought that dance to life like Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry. From their rise to pop royalty to the complicated redemption arcs that followed, these are artists who've rewritten and sometimes torched their own narratives in full public view. So today, with Lainey at the table, we're going deep on image, on intention, and the art of the comeback. Lainey, can you tell us what you know?
Well, they're dating. They have rolled out their relationship, their situationship to relationship in the most celebrity way. It is a lot of fun. Both of these people understand the conversation that is happening around them, about them. And right now, it doesn't seem like either one of them minds.
Okay, I said to you that we never get to talk about celebrity gossip. I mean, this is such an exciting moment for us. So I want to start from the beginning. Like, can you paint a picture for our audience of the two worlds that these people come from? Like, I think the most fascinating aspect to this story is that we have a former politician whose father was a politician with this pop star. Like, who are these people and why does this become so interesting that they're together?
Well, so on the surface, it doesn't seem like these two make sense, right? But where they are finding themselves at this time in their lives is actually quite compatible. So I'm pretty sure I don't have to introduce who Justin Trudeau is, former Prime Minister of Canada, the son of another former Prime Minister. And at this stage of Justin Trudeau's life, he is out of office. He left office under not great circumstances, essentially was pushed out for the sake of brevity. He was a polarizing prime minister towards the end of his term. You either support him or people have very strong feelings for him. Those are facts. Those are facts that don't require a political affiliation, right? And so he has been out of office and no longer involved in politics directly day to day. You might say in his flop era.
Lainey!
Not at the highest point of his popularity. Otherwise, he would still be prime minister or, he would have had a better chance of staying in office. I don't think that is debatable either. Katy Perry also, at the beginning of her career, one of the hottest pop stars, right? Winning lots of awards. People loved her, but in recent times, also in her flop era, 2025 has not been kind to Katy Perry. The album wasn't doing well. The public reaction to that fake space trip where, I don't know, touched the boundary of space with all kinds of other women.
That's
and
right.
A billionaire's wife and all that did not go over well. I mean, it was heavily scrutinized, heavily criticized. So again, you've got flop meets flop, unflopping together.
Okay, so then people have said, so when we first saw those images emerge of them having that date, was it a date in Montreal? One of the first things that people said to me was, is this good for both of their brands? And I said, yes, this is good. And you agree. Why do you think so? If they're both in their flop era and they come together, what makes these two flops unflop? Like what about this is so exciting to all of us?
Well, first of all, it was the randomness of it, right? I mean, in these times, in all time, but especially in these times of social media obsession and, so many fractured forms of media where we all consume things in different ways and it's hard to break through. This was so random, involving two names from seemingly different worlds at similar times in their careers. Popping up on our timelines was like a gift. Yeah. We were like, what? Okay, so the political pundits can talk about this in Canada. But, and also around the world, and also the gossip lovers can talk about this. And so it was just fun, right? It was in the summer. It's been like really hard times for all of us. Yeah. Like this was sort of low stress, guilt-free gossip. And it came out of nowhere and we're like, this is amazing. Also amazing because the other thing they have in common, in addition to them both being in their flop era or were in their flop era, is that like they're both kind of the same type of public figure. He has been known to be cringy, cheesy, corny. All of these are words that have been used to describe the former Prime Minister of Canada. Like, listen, I find Justin Trudeau extremely entertaining. I don't mind his earnestness as much as other people do, but let's not deny that there is a segment of Canada that is like, you are doing too much. Katy Perry, the queen of doing too much. Also corny, also cringy, also cheesy. So like their brands match, their flavors match. So when like two cornballs, like his cheese meets her corn and it's cheese corn, yum, yum, right? Like, and so that also was intoxicating for those of us who were like, what is this? Let's talk about this. And even their first date hit all those cheesy, corny, cringy markers. Like I was on a podcast with a political analyst who is from Montreal and was like, this is like the most Montreal date of dates, right? Where really? They went. Yes. He was like, if you were to design a date in Montreal, in the most prescribed way, this is where you would go. You would go to that terrace. You would go to that restaurant. Really? So like essentially these are two people who Pinterest boarded their first date, right? And then had the paparazzi just coincidentally happened to be there, or someone took a photo and then her concert was like the next night and there he is like fangirl number one in the stands. I think this is why it was like really well designed. As you said, Amanda, you are an expert in like brand strategy. This is very good brand strategy and they happen to be like horny for each other. Great.
Okay, so we saw that date in Montreal like you talked about, but let's talk about the hard launch, because we were putting out to JT that he should come on the pod and hard launch this on a political podcast so that our coolness went up.
We definitely knew that was not going to happen.
Well, we were hoping.
You
never know. We were giving him, an opportunity. He decided not to take it. We saw them in Paris. The hard launch again. The paparazzi.
Wait. No. Rachel.
What?
Before Paris, we have to talk.
Oh, the boat.
We have to talk about the jeans.
Okay. Let's go back to the jeans.
Every piece has its story. This was a chapter. Lainey,
tell us about the boat.
The jeans got international attention. And I was surprised, actually, like a lot of good attention. People were like, well, that's the Canadian tuxedo. And they were loving it. And some people were like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. What were you hearing about his choice of attire on that beautiful yacht?
Well, we don't really have good sourcing on why he was wearing jeans with his shirt off in an embrace with Katy Perry on a yacht in California. And I wouldn't believe anybody who claims to have good sourcing. It could just be, sure, he hadn't fully gotten into his like yacht attire yet and couldn't keep his arms off her because That's how into each other
What
they
a
are,
love
right?
story.
Like there are ways you can fill in the story and interpret why he was clothed or unclothed that way. It does add to the comedy and the funness of it, though. I also find it hilarious that, I think those photos were taken at the end of September or near the beginning of October, but there was like a delay in their release because allegedly whale watchers were just, snapping photos or videos from their whale watching tour.
Sure.
And then
you don't buy that?
I don't buy it. Like in my professional experience, that's a great way of claiming that these weren't staged. I don't buy it. But it is plausible, right?
Okay.
So that, they don't seem too thirsty.
Right.
It is plausible. So points for that in terms of strategy. If this was a PR situation, points for the strategy on rolling that out. But again, they had the effect, intended or unintended, that was good for both Katy and Mr. Trudeau.
They did. I feel like they had us eating out of the palm of their hands. Like,
oh yeah.
So let's go to hard launch now.
They have eating out of their palm of their hands, because to go back to the flopping, right? In her case, you can be like, okay, fine. Like my tour's not really very buzzy and nobody's really like bumping my new music. But look, I'm making out with the hottest former world leader. Like, let's be real. There aren't very many world leaders, current and former, who has the package of Justin Trudeau. And so that's bragging rights, right? That's a reason to flex, as the kids would say. On his part, he can be like, okay, I was kind of sort of run out of office, but I'm living my best life while you guys can't keep my name out of your mouth. I'm just out here on a boat making out with what most of you would consider the hottest pop star. Like, still, even a flopping Katy Perry is probably better than the average person.
For sure.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Totally. But then, so then we see these yacht photos come out, mixed reviews on his attire, but then, oh my God, those Paris photos.
The hard launch.
Level up. They look so good walking out of that hotel.
Her dress.
Tell us about that moment.
And was that staged?
It was her birthday, right?
That they gave her that rose, because it was perfection.
That happens in Paris all the time.
Okay.
And with paparazzi all the time. So it could have been staged, but it's not an uncommon occurrence. So yes, it's her birthday. Justin Trudeau flies out to Paris because she's touring. Katy is touring Europe right now. So he flies out to celebrate her birthday with her. So the ultimate gesture of romance, right? And I don't know about your audience, so bleep me if you need to.
No,
but there's
go
an
for
expression.
It.
There's an expression for women. It came out of Cameron Diaz's mouth a long time ago, but we'll travel for cock, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think many of us in our wilder times have done it, gotten on a plane for the D. Justin Trudeau is the one getting on the plane for, vitamin V, vitamin P, right? And so it's hot, right? It's a great story for Katy. Once again, she's like, here's my boyfriend, former world leader, who's getting on a plane to come see me, celebrate me, and luxuriate all over me. And then there's JT, who then now appeals to a female consciousness, right? Oh, look, I know the expression will travel for cock, but now he's the one, getting on a plane going for her. That's a good look for him, for the woman. So you have all kinds of now storylines here. That's so romantic. It's super sexy. They looked great. He obviously would have beautiful manners, right? Being raised where he was. That's and nice. Being the prime minister himself. Justin Trudeau is going to not only open the car door, but, he's going to turn it into a presentation. And so we have great scenes, new scenes for our movie. And that is the whole package and presentation. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That dress, her red dress, his black outfit, perfection.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the background. I'm going to go back. Amanda's going to yell at me for going backwards, but we want to know, how did they meet? Do you have any insight on how this started? Like, was this a DM on Instagram? Was this a Tinder type situation? Like, how did these two people, one from Canada, the political world, one from California, I assume she's from California, from the pop star world, like, where did they come together?
So I think that there was at least a meeting at the Invictus Games.
Oh, a throw to Meghan and Harry.
That would be the like, what was it, February 2025?
Yes.
So, but there are many occasions, where being celebrities and world leaders, they would have been in the same room. But anyway, so that is the most recent one, the Invictus Games. My understanding, what I've heard, is that her people reached out to him because she was coming to Canada. She was playing shows in Montreal and Ottawa and Toronto. And they reached out to her, she reached out, her people reached out to him and was like, maybe they had a great chat at whatever, Invictus Games or whatever previous formal setting. Be great to continue their conversation on and, have dinner. That is my understanding of like the initial logistical setup.
Interesting.
Right? Yes. And so then that turned into basically like a 3-part date.
Yeah. So is your sense that this is the real it feels real? I mean, it feels like the real deal. There's some people saying, no, this is a PR stunt. I said to Rach, like, PR stunts are quick. They're like flash in the pan. They don't go on for months and months. This feels real to me. What's your take on, are they planning Christmas vacation? Is this thing, are they meeting each other's families? Like, where are we at status wise?
I think, Amanda, it can be both. Like, I don't know why people are so committed to one or the other situation. Something can be real and also be a PR stunt in the sense of they can also be enjoying and milking it for the most PR because, again, as established, these two need good press or better press than they've had, right? So there's definitely an attraction here. Are they ready to move in together and meet the parents? From what I understand, they're not at that stage yet, but they are at the stage where, they want to take every opportunity to spend time together, get it on, and also make sure that the world gets to enjoy this show, both, right? These are any celebrity loves attention, especially good attention.
Yeah. Justin
Trudeau also loves attention. Justin Trudeau, part of some of the reasons behind why he was laughed at when he was in office and some of the funny things, funny-ish, harmless-ish things that he did while he was in office, like his whole wardrobe for India, is because he loves attention. And so I think that these are two people who can be attracted to each other, who can be exploring that attraction for real, and also who can love the attention that this is getting and are exploiting it, are saying, I mean, if people are talking about us, let's give them more to talk about. Those two things can be true, coexist at the same time.
Totally.
So let's talk about the person in the world that loves attention most, and that's Donald Trump. Do you think, and given the political climate between Canada and the United States, do you think he's watching this? An American pop star and a Canadian former prime minister?
I definitely think that I definitely personally think that he spends more time talking, thinking, looking at photos, or has spent more time doing those things about Katy and Justin Trudeau than he has trying to end the government shutdown.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
I totally believe
So is
that.
this good for our diplomacy, do you think?
I think our diplomacy in such bad shape that I couldn't make it any worse. Like I think, you know,
Well,
but I think that for sure someone like Donald Trump, who already was extremely jealous and bothered by Justin Trudeau's stature, like height, age, like not that Justin Trudeau could ever have helped when he was born, but like the fact that Justin Trudeau is younger than him and just as tall as him, and you know, looks the way that Justin Trudeau has always bothered Donald Trump, and yeah, being with a pop star isn't going to help that.
Okay, when Canada Canada's having, you know, a bit of a moment, right? We have the Blue Jays in the World Series. We have, you know, Trudeau on the cover of everything right now with Katy Perry. Do stories like this help our brand, Canada brand? Do you think, you know, is the world watching and kind of loving what they're seeing? What's your sense of that?
My sense in my job with, you know, I have a website, the reach is beyond Canada.
Okay.
I do think that people outside of Canada, many people outside of Canada, aren't aware of Justin Trudeau's political troubles and various controversies.
Right.
So
I agree with that.
many of them, like including close friends of mine who are based in New York, right? And, you know, when this Katy and Justin Trudeau thing first broke, she had the impression of Justin Trudeau still from his early days in office, where he was Canada's glamorous, young, vigorous prime minister and kind of charmed the world. And so I'm using that anecdotally to say to you that I do think that there are many people outside of Canada who still see Justin Trudeau with that kind of impression.
I agree.
And so does that mean they think Canada is cool? I don't necessarily think that that's like the immediate connection. What I do think is that there is an overall impression of Canada that is coming through during the World Series about our friendliness, our kindness, how much fun we're having here, that is adding to a reputation that we already had. So, and then I do think that recent political events for those outside of the United States may also contribute to Canada looking pretty good to people outside of this immediate realm.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that totally. And I'm curious then, Trudeau has had a relationship with celebrity culture that's sort of evolved, right? He was on the cover of Vogue with his former wife, or he was in Vogue with his former wife. There were kind of like the Bieber years as prime minister. There were a lot of selfies. How do you think his like he's sort of always been in these two tracks, the celebrity track and the political track, which is somewhat abnormal. Like certainly hasn't happened to any of our previous leaders, with the exception of his father, really. Do you think that he's managed that evolution pretty well? Do you think that this works for him, this idea that he's both celebrity and political figure?
Well, I think it has to work for him because I don't think it's ever going to be not that.
Totally.
You know, even his rise came from a very celebrity moment, like, or a celebrity, you know, a very cinematic moment, so to speak. He spoke at his father's funeral. And that was the power of television. You know, to go back in my like political studies, they always talk about the effect of television on the debate between John F. Kennedy and also Richard Nixon, and that it was televised. Had it been a radio address or had it been a radio debate, people think that it may have gone differently. But television gave people, Americans, an opportunity to witness this young, vigorous president, and they were enthralled. It almost didn't matter what he was saying. And this is not my opinion. Historians have talked about this. So now you have Justin Trudeau, who up to that point, before his father's death, had lived his own life out of the spotlight. And at this huge really world event, right? World leaders were there. It was broadcast around our country. This was before Instagram, Twitter, and all that. We had monoculture. We all watched the same thing at the same time.
For sure.
He landed with a huge sparkle. And from then on, that really characterized his celebrity, his notoriety, his image. So how can you now, all these years later, ask him to de-celebritize himself when his moment of inception as a public figure happened on stage?
For sure.
100%.
So well said.
Yeah.
So well said.
Well, Lainey, we can't thank you enough for making us way cooler this week. Honestly, your deep knowledge of celebrity and gossip is just the thing that we needed to break this critical story down for us.
We hope you'll come back again. It's a nice reprieve from talking about like trade and immigration and bail reform.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you. We love this conversation. We love everything you do. For our listeners, you can check her out. She's a website. She's on Instagram. She's everywhere. Are you everywhere? Are you also on TikTok? What are you on?
I'm enough places.
She's on all the things. Go find her on all the things. This was great fun. Happy Halloween to you. Hope you have a good one. And
thank you.
Go Jays.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Go Jays.
And now word from our title sponsor, DoorDash. Season 3 of Beyond a Ballot is powered by DoorDash. Just like we go beyond politics, DoorDash goes beyond delivery, investing in people, stories, and communities across Canada. From a recent survey, 64% of merchants say third-party delivery frees up time for them to concentrate on building their businesses. For Nathalie Godwin of La Farniette in Victoriaville, Quebec, that means dedicating more energy to growing her restaurant and enhancing the space her guests enjoy. Building a cafe that truly reflects its community takes time, care, and vision. Over the years, Nathalie has poured that dedication into every detail, from thoughtful updates to the space to the experience guests share around each table. By partnering with DoorDash, Nathalie has been able to spend more time where it matters most, growing her business and continuing to shape a place her community can be proud of. All right, we're back after that incredible dive into Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry. We're going to pivot to some news, some politics. It's almost a shame that we have to talk about politics, but stuff did happen this week, and especially the question over whether or not we're headed into another federal election. I keep getting this question. I don't know about you, but people keep saying to me, I'm hearing on the news that we're going into an election. Is this true? What do you think? Is it true? Are we doing it?
I mean, listen, there's still uncertainty around this budget passing. I don't think that's what Canadians want. I think Canadians were very clear about what they want. I think heading into an election is a terrible idea right now for the parties, for the fact that we're in a massive negotiation with the U.S., for the needs that the country has right now. So, but it's not guaranteed, right?
It's not guaranteed.
This is a minority government. He needs opposition votes. So this is going to come down to those negotiations that are happening behind the scenes. Who is going to vote with Carney? And we know this. We know that demands are on the table from opposition parties.
Yes.
We know what they're looking for. But right now, the signals are pretty murky from those parties. What are they going to do? Feels like they're going to say no, but you have to believe that somebody's going to vote with this government to pass this budget. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, context, how many budgets? We've been in murky water with minority governments before. I mean, I was in Ottawa under the Harper government when we had minorities. The difference, there's a couple of differences in my opinion. One is the position of the NDP. So for context, if the Liberals can get the NDP on side, we're good. There's no election. And the NDP is in this leadership race. Their fundraising numbers are terrible. Don Davies' popularity, the interim leader, is not good. So going into an election is really not ideal for them. We asked Anne McGrath last week on the pod whether or not they would go into an election. She seemed to think that they would, because they're so pretty much rock bottom that they have nothing to lose, and they're probably not going to get any better in the next year. So that was an interesting angle that she took. The other side of this, in my mind, is the fact that typically we would see in a minority government, the government coming out and saying, okay, NDP, you're asking for this. We're going to add this to the budget so that you have a reason to vote in favor. Although we've seen Mark Carney meet with all the leaders, which I haven't seen before. It's an interesting tactic in terms of negotiations. We haven't seen them come out and give an olive branch to any of those opposition parties, which is rare. I've talked about this before, but under the Harper government, there was provisions for the Bloc Québécois in the, I think, 2006 budget. In 2009, they made way for the Liberals to have an out to vote for it. What is Mark Carney going to do? It's really, in my mind, a Mark Carney question. How did the Liberals position this budget and come out on Tuesday with a budget that somebody on the opposition bench can vote for? Somebody. I think it's going to be the NDP.
We've also heard rumblings about floor crossings, which I think is really interesting. Those rumblings were like kind of loud last week. They've sort of simmered down, but are they able to get some members to cross the floor? That would be major news and would set them up for longer term success. Obviously, could provide some stability, could ensure that we're not headed to an election in the next couple of years. Does the Liberal Party have the ability to convince members to cross? What is your take on that?
Everything I'm hearing is no. And I have quite honestly, I haven't heard any rumblings within the Conservative caucus that there is anybody that's looking to leave. And so when that story came out, it was like, oh, I didn't realize that there was actually some, traction behind this. Ultimately, I think it's just a story. That's what it is. But we have seen, situations where parties have abstained from voting on a budget. And quite frankly, if I was a betting woman, which I am not, I would put my money on potentially the NDP playing something like half of them abstaining from a budget and a couple of them voting in favor of it, so they can come out and say, we supported the government or we didn't support the government. It doesn't look like they're propping up the government by voting in favor of it, but it gives the government enough votes that we won't go into an election. That for me would be the best case scenario for Canadians and for the NDP as well. In terms of the floor crossers, I think it's a non-story. I think somebody in the Ottawa...
We should have asked Lainey Gossip about that gossip.
I know. Do you think she knows political gossip like that?
She may know all kinds of gossip. What do we know? I'm gossip. Curious though for our listeners, because you do nerd out on this stuff.
Yeah.
So they present the budget on Tuesday. If they don't have the votes, how quickly would we go to an election?
Well, they won't vote on the budget on Tuesday. So it's not like they present the budget and then the government just falls. We would then have a debate on the budget where they go back and forth for a few days. And then they will schedule when the budget vote is. That is when everybody will be watching whether or not they will be able to get enough votes, because the Parliament can't vote on the budget until they've seen it. And for context, budget day is actually really crazy. They have staff from all different parties go into lockup. They get to see the budget embargoed. So they take away your cell phone. You're like in this room for 7 hours learning from economists what's in the budget. And then the government comes out and actually tables it. So we'll see the Minister of Finance stand up and talk about what's in the budget, not read the whole thing, or we'd be there for days. And then they put out like a physical copy. You actually, in my nerdy self has actually accumulated several budgets. I have copies of, I know, isn't that so crazy? But it's, that's a moment in history. Anyone that wants to buy them, let me know.
This is why we love you.
Yeah. So you get a physical copy of like a 300-page budget digital copies as well go to the media starts reporting it, then they debate it. They stand up in the House for a few days, they say like, this thing really doesn't work for Canadians. You start to see them crafting the narrative. So what we will see, in my opinion, is the NDP start to say, okay, like here is something we saw that we kind of like that maybe we can vote for. I don't think we're going to see the Conservatives like this budget or have a narrative around supporting it because of the economic position we're in and because of the political position where they're holding almost as many seats as the Liberals. So to answer your question, it's going to be a few days at minimum, and then we watch that vote. There's a physical vote. They stand up and vote in favor, for or against the budget, and we've seen it. It's happened. Budgets have toppled governments, like Prime Minister Clark in 1979. They lost on a budget vote and went into an election. So crazier things have happened, but the budget is one of the few times of the year when a government can fall. And so there's a lot of stress around it.
I think that Rachel was more excited about that than she was about Justin and Katy.
100%. But I learned a lot about Justin and Katy.
Also, for our listeners, we are going to break down the budget next week.
Yes.
So when you hear the pod next week, we are going to break it down. We're going to tell you what's in it. We are going to tell you what to pay attention to, and we're going to tell you what the status is in the House. What are some of those narratives coming out? So that's going to be a fun one. So take a listen next week. It's going to be especially fun for Rachel.
Can we talk about Doug Ford this week?
Yes, we love talking about Doug Ford. He's like our second favorite character lately.
Exactly. And so for context, there was a reported scuffle between the American ambassador to Canada and the Ontario representative to the United States. There was an event, a Canada-US event, a State of the Relationship event that takes place every year in Ottawa. That happened this week. And there was reportedly a very heated conversation where there was some choice words used against the Ontario representative in reference to the ad that we saw play out in the United States from the province of Ontario. Doug Ford comes out and he does a press conference and he says, look, Dave, referring to the ambassador, like he's using their first names. He says, you two should just call each other, work this out. And then the line of the week, he says, the cheese slipped off the cracker, but we need to come together. What?
Okay. And for context, back it up a second.
Okay.
So for anyone who hasn't been paying as close attention as, Rachel and I live and breathe it, there was an ad. Okay. It was an ad produced by the Ontario government. It was a $75 million ad buy in the US. It was a controversial ad. It was about the tariffs. It was about convincing Americans how bad the tariffs are, this tariff war is. They used old Ronald Reagan footage.
Right.
And the problem was the Ronald Reagan Foundation came back out and they opposed the ad because they didn't have the rights to use the footage and they used it out of order, out of sequence. So this became a big blowback moment. Trump used this as an opportunity to say, he said Canada was cheating and they got caught because we were playing these ads that were, obviously kind of negative ads for Trump. So he ended the negotiations. He said, I will not negotiate with Canada. And then he added 10% tariffs.
Yeah.
This became a blowback moment in some ways for Ford. I actually feel like it kind of split through the middle. In some ways, people felt like, you know what? He's elbows up. He's standing up for Canada. He's still Captain Canada. And some people were like, Mr. Ford, sit down, stay in your lane. We're mid-negotiation here and you're screwing up the negotiation. So as usual, Mr. Ford has been having his fair share of media on this topic, but so that when the cheese slipping off the cracker comment came out, it was post all of this trauma that had happened that had preceded it in the days prior.
Yeah, he really lifted the mood. I will say a new poll came out today that said that the majority of Canadians support the ad being played, which is an interesting context. Yeah, for the whole conversation around our positioning with the tariffs.
Totally.
And especially this move from the elbows up to much more diplomatic ways of negotiating. And so when I saw that poll, I was like, maybe we do need more of, like, maybe Canadians are on side with that more aggressive approach at this point.
I mean, I think that Canadians like the vibe, but I think at the end of the day, people do want, I hope they want this deal.
Yeah.
And I did think that gave the Prime Minister some cover. You know, when all of this was going on, it allows these delays that keep happening to happen, and there's something else to blame for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, helpful for him right now.
It's
here's another reason why we can't get this deal done. And a legitimate reason, because we know that Trump is so volatile and so unpredictable that things like this really eat at him, right? Like he sees an ad that he doesn't like, and it's like poking the bear. And it could be as simple as that. Something so consequential like our trade negotiation can come to a abrupt halt because he saw an ad that he didn't like. And I think, the perspective of those Canadians who are opposed to the ad was like, there's a time and a place, and maybe right now is not the time and the place to run an ad that could poke the bear.
But I think it also gave Canadians a little jolt. It was like, wait a second. We've been waiting all these months for a deal. Like, we really need to refocus and think about Canadian industry branching out to other countries. We saw Mark Carney in Asia this week talking to countries about expanding trade. And I think that there was a runway for that. I think Canadians this week really shifted that mindset to, okay, this really cannot be dependent on the guy in the White House. We really need to look inward. So
I think we're lucky to a certain extent that the Toronto Blue Jays are playing the Dodgers.
I was just going to talk about that.
California based team, because I think, Trump has disdain for both. So it's kind of okay, like I do. Like he's really unhappy about the fact that
replaying that video between Gavin Newsom and Doug Ford and just like getting charged up by it. He's like, these are the two guys I can't stand.
He doesn't like it. So it doesn't really feel like Canada versus the US in the World Series. It feels like, two players that he's not really like excited about anyway. So maybe that won't turn him off. Maybe it'll be fine if we win. And speaking about winning, it's we should never actually talk about sports, or I should never talk about sports, because I have the knowledge of a gnat or a small child. But we are in a very critical moment right now.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the Blue Jays could win the World Series tonight.
They could.
We could be back on tomorrow with a little, an episode that's all about the Blue Jays winning the world. We won't do that, but we could do that.
Yeah. I mean, I am sitting here in Vancouver, and I was telling you, Amanda, that I was at the Canucks game in Vancouver the other day, and I'm sitting next to these people, and they all have the Jays game on their phone, and we're all watching the Jays game as we're sitting there watching hockey. But this is such a moment, not only, and it's partially because of the politics, but not only for Toronto, but for Canada. I mean, the Jays are Canada's team. A lot of Vancouverites sometimes cheer for the Mariners, like this, because Seattle's the closest team. But it was interesting that really everyone rallied behind the Blue Jays, despite the Mariners typically being our team. And now we're so in it. We're so in it. And I wish that I was in Toronto tonight, because it's like the energy, the camaraderie. I feel like this is Canada's moment. And hopefully that means a big win tonight. Hopefully.
It's a wonderful feeling in the city. It's incredible. You really do have to be here to feel it. But I know you feel it from the West Coast. You have an extra complicating factor though tonight, because it's also Halloween.
It is.
And we're feeling okay on the East Coast, because we know we can get out early with our littles and get back in front of our screens by timing. 8 p.m. Challenge for you. You're going trick-or-treating with your girls. How are you going to do that and watch the game at the same time? So every mom wants to know.
My 4-year-old daughter this morning woke up, and most kids probably woke up this morning excited about their costumes. She ran into my room. She said, how are we going to watch baseball? This is a 4-year-old. So she's in it too. And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to take them and watch on our phones. The way you got to travel with this game is what I'm learning. But hopefully it's a short one. That's what I'm hoping. And we just win and that'll be the end. But yeah.
Okay. And tell me, what are your girls? What are they for Halloween tonight?
Okay. Shout out to my sister who does a group costume every year, because I'm sure you expect this, but I am not a costume person at all. Like never was, never will be. That. Exactly. So my sister takes the lead on this. She's the creative one. This year they are going as Ursula from The Little Mermaid. The 4-year-old is going as Ariel, has a great wig that she's been wearing for a week already. And then the little one, the 2-year-old, is Flounder, the fish.
So cute. So freaking cute. And what are you?
Oh, I'm nothing. I'm going to be wearing my Jays jersey like all day, all night.
Rachel.
I don't do costumes. Do you do costumes? Okay. Are you going?
I mean, okay, so my girls, so Asher is racing in Las Vegas. Yeah, so he is not trick-or-treating. He has a very different childhood. It's fine.
He's a racing celebrity. Yep.
It's fine. So he's not here. My girls are going as an axolotl. Does anyone?
What is that?
Spelling. It's spelled so odd. Oh. It's a sea. It's an amphibian. It's a sea. It's like a little pink sea creature.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. It's big time.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
Elle chose that.
Okay.
And Vivi is going to be Athena, the Greek goddess.
Oh.
She is. I mean, they're already wearing their costumes. They're at school. They're already there in full costume. This morning was like Christmas. I'm telling you, Halloween at a certain age is as exciting as Christmas. They ran in. They were like, we couldn't sleep last night.
Oh, yeah.
They're so excited. They're like in their costumes by 6 a.m. ready to go.
What do you think?
So we are in like full Halloween here.
What do you think is more exciting for them? Wearing the costume or the candy?
I think for my girls, it's wearing the costume.
Yeah.
Like they just love the costume.
It's so
fun. Love it. Yeah. So I'm going to, I have to run downstairs before trick-or-treating tonight. I'm going to open up our costume bin and I'm going to find something that I'm going to put on my head. And then I'm going to like a cat. Like I'm so boring. Like a witch hat. I don't know. We have to have something downstairs. That will be my costume, but I can't go without something because they get really upset about that. I mean, they're 8 years old. Yeah, it matters. I have to show up in something.
You got to put a white sheet over your head and be a ghost.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh,
but
that's what I will do.
I mean, can you though?
I'm not
Can
creative.
you do that?
No,
and post it?
I'm wearing my Toronto Blue Jays t-shirt right now, and it's not coming off until we win the World Series. I will sleep in this tonight if we don't win this game.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win.
We're gonna win. We're putting that juge out into the universe. Okay.
Well, that's a good way to wrap. I mean, go Jays.
Go Jays.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Hope everyone has a night of full celebration. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening. New episodes air every Friday.
Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram and find us at beyondaballot.com.